Hello and welcome back, or welcome. My name is Ken Kinter, and this is day 553 of my journey through leukemia. If this is the first video that you're seeing, you might want to come back to and start with day one. That'll give you some background on what's going on. This video is a little different from many of the other ones I've done. It will contain an update, but then also something I've been working on, and I would definitely appreciate people's feedback on this one. I'll get more into that in a little bit. This is a little different. So this one's called Ken's Rules of Cancer, and that's meant to be a little lighthearted and that I don't make the rules. But this has been some of my experience in my year and a half journey with leukemia. So first off, I just put a little photo gallery together on this title slide here. So there's a picture going from left to right of me immediately before the diagnosis when I thought I had a stomach virus and otherwise things were okay. Added a ceremony with my wife. Number two is my wife smuggled in a guitar and an amplifier onto my unit, so I had a wonderful time learning songs and playing. And it was one of the things that kept me together while I was in there. The third picture, the October 2023, is probably my worst hair day as the chemo really took hold and as we really got into the middle of it. And then this last picture is was just recently taken. And the hair is back and the health is back. And I've been out of the hospital and cancer free for, at this time, 10 months. So that's the backstory on that. So this video is dedicated to all who are fighting the good fight against all forms of cancer and the loved ones who are fighting it side by side with them. To the staff at Capitol Health Pennington and the Fox Chase Cancer Center, because without them, I am not here. And to Team Faith, Hope, Love, which is the nickname for everybody that's supported me along the way, whether it's virtually or in person or whoever, starting with my wife, but all through my professional and personal supports and all that good stuff, including you, dear viewer. You all make it worth it and possible. So again, the day one will tell you more if you want to catch the details, but the basic backstory on me is that I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia last year, requiring 11 admissions, 8 for chemo and 3 for all the other wonderful stuff you pick up along the way, like RSV and COVID and the flu, while your immune system is offline. And as I mentioned, been cancer-free for about 10 months now and been growing the hair back since then, and I'm still struggling with what to do with that, as you can see. And these whole series of videos have been hopefully to inform, to entertain, to support. I'm a big mouth, so I like to talk about everything. And if there's something, I've worked in mental health for 35 years now, and things that are kept silent, there tends to be all sorts of stigma and disinformation that go around them because people's truths aren't being spoken. So my goal is to be able to speak about this and hopefully make people's experience better. It started out as me doing self-therapy, but it also went over to, hey, this is happening to somebody every day, and is there some way to make their journey better or easier along the way? So that's really what this is about. So this particular video, if you've watched NCIS before and you're familiar with the main character, Gibbs, he has all these rules, and some of these rules are over on the right-hand side here. And the staff that work with him are very familiar with these rules and have to function along with them. So I thought it might be funny to do rules of cancer. Now, some of these aren't rules. Some of these are just observations along the way. And also, if you are someone who's experienced cancer, either through having it through a loved one or you yourself, I would love to know your feedback on the rules I put down here. And if there's others that should be there that aren't, because granted, my experience is only a year and a half, and it's certainly not everybody's experience. But I think it might be an interesting place to start from, especially for people that are very new to this and just kind of getting oriented to it. So let's start off with the rules. Rule number one, do I need to go any further? There's really nothing good to say about cancer at all. Not to say that there aren't silver linings, but overall, no one would want that experience. Cancer is a difficult but excellent teacher. In your life, I'm sure there are many lessons that you've learned the hard way, and probably those are some of the most important and long-lasting lessons of your life. And cancer will do that. Cancer will teach you a lot of things about yourself and about life that you may not learn any other way. This one I got from a friend of mine, and I've heard this from many survivors. Everyone's cancer journey is different. You could have the same diagnosis, same treatment, same experience, same facility, and it's just different. However, everyone's cancer journey has similarities, and this is part of where the strength is. Someone could have a totally different type of cancer from you, um, gone to a totally different treatment facility, gone through a whole different routine, but there's some commonality of experience there. And I think that's part of the strength and part of the bond between people that have survived and are in treatment for. Cancer sorts your priorities for you. The great Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh tells the story of the big storm that came to his house, the big wind, and it blew all of the papers off his desk. The books he was writing and all the things he was doing all went in a pile and scattered all over the floor. And when he came back, his first thought was to grab all these papers and put them all back in order again and put them back on the desk the way they were before. But then he thought about it and said, well, let's be mindful about this. Let's look at this carefully. What belongs on this desk? And this desk of your life only has a finite amount of time and energy on it. Do all those things belong there? Well, cancer will make you take a very strong look at those things and decide what belongs on there and what does not. What has become more important and what's become less important through this experience. If you think about if you made a list of all the people that you think are in your corner, when things get really bad in your life, there are two things I can pretty much guarantee. One is some of the people that you think that are in your corner will not be. And the other one is there are going to be people on that list that you forgot about, didn't even think about. And all of a sudden they become supremely important to you. I'll give you an example. I was in the hospital over and over again over the summer. And when I was home, I was very weak, couldn't do anything in the yard. And I would come home from the hospital and the lawn had been mowed. My neighbors had done it for me, and they wouldn't even tell me which neighbor. So these were not people that I was planning on telling about what was going on with me and all those things, but they learned about it, they found out about it. And whether it's because they're just really nice people, or they think I'm a really nice person, or whether it's the neighborly thing to do, or if they've experienced cancer before and this was sort of their way of reaching out, these are all potential reasons. I don't know. But there are many people in my corner, I don't even know their full names. And there were some wonderful ladies who made a prayer blanket for me at their church. Never met me. But so this kind of brings us into the next subject, which is cancer is your story to tell or not tell. It's your medical situation. So don't take any advice, including mine, about whether you should be public about it or not. It's your business. You don't have to tell anybody. I am going to weigh in on the side of telling for the reasons that you see in rules 6 and 7. If people know, they can help. If you've left that door open, they can come in. If you've kept that door closed, they can't help. And there will be people that will help. So I admit I'm going to be biased on the side of telling your story. In my case, when I got sick, I realized that secrecy and stories were not going to help me. They were going to take energy away from my fight. So I had no time for them. And I also thought about being an advocate for others as well, regardless of the time that I had left, which at the time didn't look like very much. How can my suffering help someone else? The other feeling from my side is I didn't spend very much time thinking about, oh, what did I do wrong? Did I do something to bring this on me? Why did this happen? I had no time for that at all. First of all, there are no definitive answers about it. And then the other thing is, does that help the fight? No. If you were hit by lightning, it's hard to have a discussion about, oh, why did that happen? No. What do I do now? What do I do now to get better? And then hopefully help others as well. Know what you were fighting for. My mission when I got sick was I wanted my life back. I wanted my life back with my wife. I wanted to travel. I wanted to work. I had a whole bucket list of things I wanted to get done, and I hadn't gotten them done. And my suggestion would be that you have very clear, maybe a collage, maybe a PowerPoint slide, a something, a little shrine or something that has everything on it that you are fighting for, so you can remember those things while you're going through the more difficult parts of treatment, which that's probably a whole other discussion all its own. So moving on, this one I stole from Stuart Scott at ESPN. And look that one up if you get the chance. It was an SB award thing. Fight when you need to fight, rest when you need to rest, and let others fight for you. This is bigger than one person. In the beginning, I was passing out a lot, and I was not able to advocate for myself. And my wife picked up the mantle and fought for me, and treatment providers picked up the mantle and fought for me. And I fought all day long and then slept and passed out. And people picked it up for me. And it's okay to do that. Resting is a necessary part of the fight because it's a 24/7 fight. You don't know how your story is going to end, but don't let it be due to lack of effort on your part. And that was a vow I made to myself at the very beginning. Didn't know if I was going to survive. But what I knew was going to be that if I did not survive, it wasn't going to be because of a lack of fight from my side. I wanted to know that I put maximum effort into my recovery, and then there's part of it that's just beyond my control. Let people help you. This can be tougher for some of us than others, especially those of us who are used to being the caregiver. We tend to make terrible care receivers. Let people help. It's bigger than one person. And you know what? It's an act of love from someone to you. Accept it. Like you would do it for somebody else, right? Let people and things go that aren't helping you fight. I went through a period of time in the very beginning where I thought about, I had people I was debating mending fences with and making peace with everybody and doing all that stuff. It didn't stay with me. What stayed with me was I divided the whole world into what's going to help me in my fight and what isn't going to help me in my fight. That was it. And anything that didn't, including lots of unfinished business, that was just going to go. That's just how that was going to be. Fine tune that bucket list. This is a whole video all its own. So I hope you do have a bucket list of all the things you want to see, do, and experience before you die. I had mine grouped by location because lots of mine were travel. So I had a bunch for Greece, a bunch for Egypt, a bunch for Australia, all that kind of stuff. When I got diagnosed, my oncologist, Dr. Kinsfather at Capital Health Pennington, who was wonderful for this whole thing, said you might want to redo your bucket list. Make it in order of difficulty. Put the easy stuff up front and the harder stuff that involved a lot of time, a lot of money, flights, passports, all that good stuff. Put those at the end and start knocking off the little guys. The stuff you can do in a day. If you've ever wanted to do a paint and sip and do a painting, do it. If it was a concert or a game or a one-time event, do it. Whatever you have to do, start knocking those little ones off and then start thinking about how you can take out the big ones. So that's the bucket list advice from an oncologist through me. Number 16, get yourself a fight song or several. If you have a kind of music that fires you up, and I always joke, like if you were going to walk into an arena, if somebody was introducing you and you were walking into an arena with 30,000 fans, like a wrestler or a concert performer, what would you want to be hearing through the PA? What music would you want blasting when they mention your name and you come out there? So I'm a heavy metal guy, so my music tends to be along those lines. But I don't care. If it's Taylor Swift, knock yourself out. If it's something by Pavarotti, knock yourself out. Whatever. I do not care. What will happen is during this fight, you're going to have to reach down into your guts an awful lot and find some will to keep going and to do this next thing that you have to do. And there's times where you're going to reach down, you're not going to find anything, at least if your experience is like mine. And sometimes that music helps you get through. We were headed to the hospital once and I wasn't feeling it. I was thinking more about running away and hiding rather than going through and having the procedure I had to get done that day. Put on some metal came on. I listened to it for 5 minutes and then I said, okay, I'm good. I'm ready now. Let's do this. And it was amazing to me how that transformation happened. So for me, it's music. It may not be for everybody, but I can't help but think everybody I've spoken to that has experienced cancer, I ask them the question what their fight song is, and they know what it is. It could be Katy Perry, it could be Madonna, it could be, I don't care. Don't care. It has to move you. It has to move you in your guts. Get yourself a cry song. It's okay to cry. If you're not going to cry about this, then I don't know what you're going to cry about. What do you listen to when you want to let some of that pain out? Because if you don't choose times to let it out, the times will choose themselves and it will be all over the place. You'll cry in front of people. You'll cry in front of people telling your story. You'll cry during commercials on TV. To me, I would rather have the time and just from time to time let that pressure valve out. I'm a huge fan of Warren Zevon's last album, The Wind, Queen's last album. Um, for me, there's a particular allure to artists who knew they were dying. David Bowie's Lazarus off his last album, Dark Star, Black Star. I'm sorry. Um, the but again, it's got to make sense to you. If you listen to Leonard Skinner and it makes you cry, then have it. Just have at it. It's okay. It's got to work for you, and it lets out some of that so that again you can carry on, at 100%. This one could be a little controversial. I don't know. And again, discussions and comments are welcome. I don't pretend to know all of this stuff. Cancer is harder on the partner than the patient. As the patient, you kind of have what I refer to as the soldier's mentality. Your job is to survive, man. That's it. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Not easy, but simple. Now, let's talk about the partner and the loved ones. Very often, they have to pick up a lot of slack for the patient who can't do what they were doing before. The loved ones, partners, husbands, wives become the caregiver. So now they have they not only have to pick up the slack for the stuff that I'm not doing, but they also have to take care of me because there are periods of time in the beginning where I was total care, pretty much total care. And the other thing is they have to deal with so much more of the psychological aspects of this. To me, if the battle went bad and I died, all right, that's it, I'm done. They have to go through every day with this process that it could go bad and they could lose you along the way, and they're still going to be here afterwards dealing with the after effects of that. So that is really, really, really tough. It's much more psychologically stressful, I think. So that's why I say it's harder on the partner and also the loved ones than the patient. And again, welcome feedback on that one. This one I just got the other day. It's never over. So even 10 months, my numbers are fine. It can end every time I go in and do blood work, every time I go in and get checked up. And I've seen this happen. People that were good for years, all of a sudden, it's back again. So you live your life having gone through this thing. And then when you feel better, you immediately want to pretend everything's okay and go about your life. But there's always these little reminders. And as I've said to a colleague of mine several times, once your time horizon gets brought back to your nose like this, like you don't know if you're going to live till tomorrow or tonight or the next week, when that horizon pushes back out again, where you could be alive indefinitely, you don't necessarily believe it. You don't. You always have that little fatalistic thing. A friend of mine and I get together. We jokingly call ourselves the Nearly Dead Club because we both had life-threatening experiences, and we talk about how it's changed us and how we go forward from there. I should add something on here about having a really dark sense of humor too, because that's also there. This last one comes from a quote. It's a quote from a nurse in Fox Chase. One of the big battles you have is, okay, am I just going to eat bean sprouts and granola the rest of my life because I've had this horrible health scare and I'm never going to go to a concert again and I'm never going to travel again and I'm going to wrap myself up in bubble wrap and live at home and be perfectly safe so I can maximize my time here on Earth? Or do you go the other way and you say, look, man, I might only have a year or two to live, so I'm going to go to that concert. I'm going to go to that game. I'm going to sit in a train full of people that have the flu to get in New York City. And you constantly have to make these battles between living, like living as if this never happened, or living scared to death, but trying to maximize your own safety. And when it came to things like going to concerts or going to see games and doing fun stuff or even very strenuous stuff, the nurse said, you got to live. You got to live. And I just thought that was really profound in a very short statement. So this is being put out by me as a just kind of brief update on how I'm doing, which PS, by the way, I'm fine and back at work and all's good. But also, this is a growing pool of knowledge for me. I'm still early on this. So again, people who work in this area, people who have suffered from this sort of thing before or been very close to someone who has. I would love your feedback. I will probably be redoing this video at some point to incorporate the feedback of people that are smarter than me about this, but I at least wanted to start and put something out. It's been in my head for a while. So anyway, as always, I thank you for watching. I thank you for your time and your attention, and I will see you when the next video comes down, which shouldn't be too long. Take care and be well.